I like literally had somebody throw to me in a meeting yesterday and say Clint, and then mumble Clint.
I love that it's our new joke. All right, well, here, let's give everybody what they want. Okay, here we go.
Let's do it.
Clint,
Colette.
how are things?
Better now that I've had time to recover from SRECon.
Oh my gosh, same. We are recording 2 weeks out from leaving. We haven't had an episode in a while because we've both been in various stages of recovery. I was on spring break with my children, and then stuff. So yeah, we were at SRECon together. We did film some content for our friends over at Google's podcast. I don't know when that's gonna.
That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a quick little set of takes, but it was fun. You had a talk. It was awesome.
You had a talk that was awesome.
Oh, thanks. It was spicy.
Yeah, you needed an AMA after.
Yeah, it was so spicy that people walked out of it and they had to schedule an AMA that wasn't there before for me to answer more questions for people, which is great.
Mission accomplished. Got the conversation going.
If someone doesn't walk out of your talk, you're not doing your job, folks.
Oh, got to try harder. Yeah.
No, I thought your talk was great. I really enjoyed it. And I felt like, I know the story of this. At one point I leaned over and I was like, this moment he's talking about right now, it was his first day at work. And people were
yeah,
like,
I didn't want to make it about me, but I was, when I was practicing it, I went both ways. And I was like, no, it's not about me. This is definitely about the team and the process and the incident. But yeah, that first day.
And the tech, which was a nice little, or the tech seen through the lens of scientific, experimentation rigor, which I loved. So
yeah, the one thing I can't I'll have to let go of someday, I haven't let go of it yet, is in my notes, very big. I only have a few things in my notes. I don't write down what I'm going to say. I write down what I need to touch on. And the first one is, this is when you talk about control groups. And I didn't. I just I was just riffing. I was like, the vibes were good and the story was rolling, and it just didn't come out in my little storytelling way that I always improv it. And at the end, I was coming down from the line, I'm like I did not say control groups right there, because there is this moment, if you saw my talk, where we had to upgrade the database and change this buffer size really big. And we still didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I was like, hey, could we just do the upgrade? Because then we can observe the buffer performance and then see where it's going to go. And people are like, no, we've had 9 incidents in a row on this now. We're just going to fix it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Okay. No science today. And
there
I did talk a lot about
for the science. Yeah.
There was no budget for it, really. I did talk a lot about spending your air budget. But that part, that was where I would have said, as a scientist, I wanted to have a control group.
Yeah. You wanted to see Yeah,
I wanted some variable to change slowly, one at a time. And they were like, no, we're going to change them all and shotgun this. And it worked. So... but we still don't actually, we didn't learn enough there. But anyway, it was really stressful putting that talk together, by the way, because I didn't want to out what the subject matter was. I wanted to talk about the database and the process, and being an SRE in this situation, I didn't want to go through the approval gates and share details. So I had to kind of adjust things. If you look at the screenshots, there's the big DB1 and I just had to obfuscate it a little enough where my boss could be like, yeah, it's fine, we don't have to do the approval gate, you're just telling a story.
Cool. Yeah
but
so
that was
for
stressful.
folks, so I am going to try to link to our talks. I don't think U6 has posted them quite yet. It usually takes them 4-ish weeks to process all of them, so we might not have them by the time I release this episode. But so just a quick summary, your talk was kind of taking the audience through years really of experimentation, or a lack thereof, to understand where these problems with a particular database were happening, and kind of the story of discovering and uncovering and rediscovering and, reinvestigating this
and
problem.
trying to get less wrong.
Yeah.
Like each time, like if we're gonna change something, let's make sure we make a prediction and see if it comes true, and lean into some scientific practice. It's a 4-year total time span.
Wow.
From the initial beginnings of these failure modes to present day, where we don't get them anymore, but we have now incidents when we think there might be one coming, which is a much better place to be in. And so it was like I've told the story at work a few times, and at tables, and that's how the talks I try to do are like, if I've told this and I see a group of like 6 SREs leaning in and going like, what the? No, how did you? I'm like, okay, like this seems like something everybody would learn from. So which is also I think what your talk did for people.
I don't know if it was the same way. Well, what I loved about your talk was you were able to sort of act as like an archaeologist of documents, and you actually went back from before you were at this place and found information about prior people's debugging and thinking about this problem, and it just goes to show you that like writing really good documents around an incident or around a problem you're trying to fix like can really help somebody in the future understand it, where you might not even anticipate, right, how it's going to be used, how it's going to be useful.
Shout out to Dan Slimman for writing good, thoughtful analysis.
Yes.
It wasn't formal. It was definitely just Dan is a good storyteller, and also recorded videos on this actually that were internal as well. And that was very helpful to have like, here's someone speaking about their experience and the experiences of the others around them, and writing these things down. I didn't make that point maybe strong enough too, but I agree. Like I couldn't do half of what I did at the beginning of my experience without having had those documents to go, well, they already tried that, and they were already wrong about this, and they thought this was true, and it's not. Like that is something that I think we all can learn from, is like just write some stuff down, like put what's in your head on a piece of paper or in a document,
even when it's wrong,
save it,
or especially
and,
when it's wrong.
And be like, I think I might be here, or I was wrong about this. It doesn't. The null hypotheses are great. Like do it.
Yeah Super cool. You
spoke about a sacred cow.
I did.
Apparently
3 lies we tell ourselves about disaster recovery, and I tell you what, the big lie that I call it, which is that your disaster recovery plans are bullshit. Yes, even your disaster recovery plans are bullshit. It was very spicy.
Yeah.
But also people came up to me afterwards and were like, I was so relieved because I've been having these thoughts inside my head about my company's DR plans, and like I haven't said them out loud, but thank you for saying it out loud, cool.
The intrusive DR thoughts.
Like, are we really, is this really going to work when it matters? Like, are we sure?
No, it was, I looked around the room a little bit while you were speaking, and saw some frowning faces and some like, like like that's the lie I'm telling every day. And so I didn't know that people had walked out, but somebody came up to me in the lobby the day after, from I'm not going to name what company, it doesn't matter, from a company that I know takes SRE very seriously though. And said that 2 of their colleagues walked out, and he said to me, well, because we have, we've identified a small set of core user stories for our DR, and they've worked 3 times. We've done an exercise in the last 12 months. Like, this for sure is like fine, and so when I said, yes, your DR plans are bullshit, and I think this is like really good feedback actually for then if I do this talk again, which is like, and I don't mean that your work is meaningless, right? Like that's not my point here. And I'm not telling you to throw out your DR plans. Like but I am asking you to question whether just because they've worked and just because you are even quite confident that they will,
doesn't mean that there's still not a lie. Just because you could start a DR tomorrow and it works doesn't mean that that plan isn't a lie. And I want to like find a fine distinction here, right? Which I think is hard for some people. Like, I think especially engineers tend to take things very literally, and so they're like, "Well, it worked yesterday and it's going to work tomorrow. Like, why wouldn't it be? Why would it be a lie?" And I think it starting to come to battle with unknown the unknown situations that can happen, that do happen every day, starting, to deal. I might also put in the like, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face quote, but like, I think that's but I'll tell you what was also helpful was having a bunch of people there who've been dealing with cloud hyperscaler data center problems in the Middle East for the last month. And their real, hard won, hard fought knowledge about what works about their plans and what doesn't in the face of quite an unexpected event, right? So data centers getting, fully taken offline by essentially, unidentified projectiles causing sparks and smoke.
I was going to say unpredictable incendiary devices.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's a really hard lesson that these, I think I was having a conversation with you and some other folks about that, and pointed out that back at the beginning of my career, I worked at a startup where we had one data center, and we would go to the boss and be like, if that data center has like a problem, like we're going to be down for like days. And he said, well, what kind of problems might happen? And we would be like, I mean, what if the power infrastructure works? He's like, they have 3 power. They have generators. Like they have a DR plan for that. And then eventually we would always descend into, well, a meteor could hit it. Right. And then it's like, well, but like,
then maybe we have bigger
assumption.
Problems.
Yeah. And that was exactly what he would say.
Yeah.
He would say, look, we're a job search site. Like if a meteor crashes in Orange County, California, like I'm okay being down. Like I'm going to be with my family. Yeah. I was like, but it's very like that assumption of peace and that expectation, it's not always true, and it can change quickly, more quickly than you think. And, and that was the message that I got from your talk as well, is that like, think like that, and like the folks who actually tested the 3 Mile Island plan, which I loved the way you told that story, because that was, no, let's just actually like do some of it and not just assume that we'll be able to do it in that moment.
Yeah. One of my favorite papers. I was going to suggest we do an episode on that. So, which is, it's the Charles Perrault, Lee Clark paper, about Lilco's power plant in New Shoreham.
Was Lee there in the room at SRECon? No.
Lee Clark?
Yeah, no, I don't know. You were saying something about Lee Clark being there, and I was like, "Wait, he's not one of us."
No,
like
no. Lee Clark is
safety researcher.
Yeah. Lee Clark worked with Charles Perrault and then wrote Mission Improbable, which I took the Exxon story from as well. So basically, like, But I like what's funny about that paper. Maybe this is Charles Perrault's writing style, or maybe it's Lee Clark's writing style. I don't know who wrote what as part of the paper, but I feel like that particular paper is like reading a clown car of like what could possibly go wrong next, and then they just kind of like list it, and they've got quite a sense of humor about it, and so it's like it reads sort of like dryly hilarious, it's funnier than your average safety research paper.
I have never read it. I'm sure I haven't. I would remember, but so we'll have to do a paper chat on that one for sure.
So what else? We decided we're just doing a rambling episode on SRECon Reacts, right? So that's what this is. So what else did you love at SRECon? Any other highlights?
It's interesting. I felt like I loved the opening keynote with Michelle Brush. I actually really learned a lot from her. I I do not feel that some of our colleagues in the Resilience and Software Foundation did. They had some problems with it, but I don't recall
there were
what
a
those
couple
were.
of graphs that made me wince, but other than that, I thought there was some interesting stuff in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I have my little notes that I took, which, stuff that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
I think about the Jevons paradox a lot as we're going through this AI transformation. The talk was on AI, like what we're going to have to do, basically. I forget the title, actually, but I didn't write that down. But essentially, like, the job is going to change in this way. It was her prediction and her colleagues' predictions on what we're going to need more of now, not how we're not going to have jobs anymore.
Right.
Which is,
how our jobs will change, basically. Yeah.
Like validating. So that's the thing. And so that the idea that her I think most interesting slide said that essentially the Jevons paradox, that you do automation and you get more of what you've automated, and thus you need more people to do the things around it, multiplies times the ironies of automation. So, and that's where we end up with. And I don't think she made a great case for like how that's happened in the past, but it certainly is how I sort of looked at it. Is like our job is messy stuff and figuring out the new work. And the Jevons paradox says that once AI automates certain things, we're going to get a lot more of it. And a lot more of what I think we're going to get is software. And that's what Michelle was saying. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly right. There's going to be a lot more messy, broken, confusing, unpredictable software. And yes, there will be some AI automation to help deal with it. But there's also just going to be a bunch of like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah, but also like what's scary to me is that then there's also less human expertise on the like guts of the system when there are no humans around who really built it, right? Like,
yeah, I feel that I've been doing a lot of agentic coding lately, actually, as part of my job, like building up a big part of our platform, and then sort of thinking about that, like, okay, I did not write all this code. Like, I just had it generate a 600 line diff, which normally I would yell at a software engineer for making too big. But I'm like, but this is so easy. Is it simple? Right? Like, that's always my question. And my, then I went back and read that code, and I'm like, I probably would have done it about like this, and it would have taken me a few more days. And like, the important part is that I stopped and reasoned about, does this actually do what I asked for? And that's exactly what code reviewers do. And so there will be experts, but they will not be the same kind of experts. And we're really good now at extracting that expertise that currently gets built up by building.
Right. And
this is, I think, what Michelle was saying, is that like, we're going to have to get good at building that expertise differently.
Other ways. Yeah.
In other ways. Yeah. And I found myself thinking about the medical field here. Doctors don't build people.
No.
Right.
They just troubleshoot. Yeah.
And they troubleshoot, and they dissect cadavers, and they build on the past experiences of people and studies. And we're probably going to be more like that now. And we're probably going to be just as bad at it as doctors are, which is, they get better and better, but they know they're flawed, and they accept their fate. But yeah, that's kind of how I felt. So that's what I took away. I really liked that one. The next keynote pissed me off. I don't know. But did you have thoughts on Michelle Brush before we move on?
No, there was this one. I just remember seeing a graph, one of those graphs that goes up and to the right, and it was around like complexity and like, but then we'll have some things make it less complex, and I'm like, no, that's not how that works. Like, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
And I was like, the up to the right thing, it's more like chaotic circle going around, constantly changing points on the. Yeah, but other than that, no, I thought there were some really interesting takeaways from hers. And yes, the next talk fucking pissed me off. But I also, I should say, so the next talk was Dr. Nicole Forsgren, Mean Time to What the Fuck was the thing, which saw the return of MTTR, which was definitely a highlight of consternation for many in the audience. But I also kind of understood where it was coming from, even though I thought it was wrong. I thought it was the wrong thing to be talking
Yeah.
about to that group of people. I thought, as somebody who's been a director, a lot of what she talks about, which I thought was really, I actually had never taken, I did not have this understanding of her background and her passion, which is really about, very close, near and dear to my heart, about advocating for more investment in particular areas for her team with executives, right? And that's a lot of where Dora comes from, and is like, because executives love a metric, and it helps them, ground their rationale in something when they can't be bothered to sort of dig down and understand it better, right? Which I think is a fair...
Accelerate was written to convince executives.
Right. And I think there's a piece here, right, which is like a totally fair, like, I completely understand that angle. And also, when somebody tells me, and somebody brought this up in my AMA, right, they were like, well, what about models? All models are wrong. And I was like, people always forget the second half of that, which is,
they do.
Does the person who consumes that, George Bach said, all models are wrong, but some are useful. So long as the consumer of that model understands its limitations. And I think that second half just constantly gets forgotten. And I don't see anybody talking about the limitations of Dora, of MTTR, of metrics, and I do think, and this is like, I might be screaming at a brick wall here, like it may never happen, right? I don't want to seem egotistical about it, but I do think that telling rich stories about systems and about how those systems correlate to business outcomes can also be very compelling to executives. And I would like us to fucking give it a try once in a while instead of tell them lies all the time with our metrics, right? Like, what is the article that got posted in Slack recently that was like, did you read that article that was comparing the AI gold rush with like Mao's revolution?
Oh, I haven't read that yet. No,
it's very, very good.
Never-ending reminder list
of things to read from the Slack. So this was posted on RISF Slack.
Resilience and Software Foundation Slack, which people should join.
RISF, yes. If you want to also talk about these things with us. So the one of the really interesting things was this, like, somebody said that their team improved 40%, became 40% more efficient using AI tools. And then this other team said they were 50%. And then this other team said they were 60%. And that's like this, constant, like, we're just going to, where nobody stops to ask where they pulled that number from. Nobody stops to ask, like, how are you measuring that? Like, how are you thinking about that? Nobody stops to ask, are they still doing the same work? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
How are they spending their time?
Isn't there a paper on that about how numbers make things sound more scientific?
I'm sure.
Yeah, but somewhere in the cognitive systems, I read about that.
But and then all that happens is those numbers get reported up to the board, and the board says, aha, doesn't that look amazing? We'll invest more in it, right? And it becomes this terrible feedback loop that's based on fucking lies. And or not even lies. I think less so lies than DR, right? Because I do think that people I think that there's something in there where people, have I don't know, maybe they're lies. I don't know, whatever. They're just not real. It's just not real. It's just part of a hype cycle. And it's terrifying to think that this is how really good tools, agentic coding is a really awesome tool. But it's terrifying to think that this is how they're being misinterpreted and misharnessed. And it makes me worry about what happens when it all falls down.
I mean, this is a cycle. Agentic coding AI is just the latest and one of the more powerful versions of, I have found a thing that I can feel is improving me, and I need to convince somebody, so I will make up a number that helps convince them that this is the thing. Because, we don't talk about it enough. This AI stuff is expensive. Like, those tokens, like, that's a GPU somewhere. those data centers are not building quickly. They will never build quickly. And like that, you have to convince somebody that that budget is actually so valuable that we're willing to put millions and millions of dollars into it. And yeah, I truly think that people are making a good faith attempt to measure the productivity and say, look, we didn't give it to this team. We gave it to that team. And the team we gave it to, their productivity by the number that we came up with after we had the idea got better. And we've talked about this with Fred a couple of times, right? Those metrics that, that Dora puts out, like they're real, they're self-reported, that someone said that that's what happened to them. But the model, as you point out, has limitations. And if you're not careful, you're absolutely pushing down on something that you need to be lifting up on. And like, that's why MTTR pisses us all off so much, because we have like a deep understanding of how misleading it is.
Yeah.
And so to see someone like Nicole, who's deep in this, not let go of that metric and to just say it as like, well, you got MTTR and that's a good metric. Like I very clearly remember I wrote down in my notes, lost me at MTTR. Yeah. And I didn't write any notes after that. I didn't walk out, but I definitely like just went on my laptop and like kind of ignored the rest of the talk. Because I was like, I don't want to be mad anymore. So I don't know what she said after that. You were out. Yeah. And I saw a couple of our other friends leave.
Yeah.
I was surprised that was the starting, like, we'll just
it's a little
bait
shocking.
you.
It's a little shocking.
Yeah.
I also just think, like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I've gone to SRECon now for 3 or 4 years straight, and I've never seen that many director plus exec. Like, I've never seen that many managers there. It's a lot more ICs, and I know that the message was a little bit like, if you just put these things together, then your manager will. That was my other worry, right? Is like, I felt like she was telling a story that was like, just put some metrics together and give it to your managers and or your executives, and then they will give you what you want. And it's like, that's not how that works. Like, sorry, but I know from hard won experience that's not how that works. So yeah. It was tough. What else? Oh God, Beth Long's talk, man. So good.
Yeah.
Highlight.
I feel like it started, it wasn't a sound bath, but it kind of felt like an SRE sound bath, like in the room. I felt like it should have had little
like
chimes
followed
going,
it
just
with that.
Yeah, just some like nice low hertz, like sounds. Cause it did feel like there were a few people. Again, I try to look around during, around mid talk and see if people are super engaged or if and there was nobody disengaged. Like the folks in the room.
People were like trying breathing exercises with her.
This is me. Awesome. Yeah. They were like, 448. Yeah. I need to do this. Yeah. For sure.
Such a good talk. So Beth's talk was about sort of how the critical resource is you is I think the title. And it was basically like how to reset your body after a stressful on-call shift or, kind of experiencing stress at work. Really wonderful set of tips and exercises and thoughts.
I definitely did 448 after my talk. And once in the bedroom the night before after stressing and going, no, you're done.
How do you feel after giving a talk? How does your body feel?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I have to bring myself
pure
down.
Adrenaline.
Like I will talk people's ears off and like overwhelm them and interrupt and be a toxic person if I don't take a second to like go be alone for a moment. Because I think I've said this to you before and many other people. I have stage might, not fright, which means the more people who are watching me do something that I believe in, the more like energetic and comfortable I get, actually, which is, I think, why I'm a good incident commander. But it also can, there's a good zone. And then there's the top where just like, my motor is running like full speed by the end of the talk for sure. And it's all joy. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
It's just like doing karaoke. If you've ever seen me do karaoke, like I'm just like, I'm vibrating. So yeah, but oh God, before it though, like not good. And this one, I was stressed way more than usual because like I had my talk on the last day, in the morning of the last day. And this was my second conference in 2 weeks. Like I had a conference the week before, and I had done a ski camp the weekend before that first conference. And in between all of this, my daughter had the state gymnastics championships where it did not go well. So I was like, my stress bucket was so empty or full. I don't know. My stress bucket was full. My serenity bucket was empty. And so I definitely felt like, oh, the talk's going to fix all this. And it totally did. It was like,
nice
just
reset
get to the
button.
talk.
Yeah.
Just get to that. It definitely filled all the good buckets and emptied the bad ones immediately.
It was also just really nice to talk with people and meet people and hear.
It is. But
the
taking
hallway
it back
track
to Beth's
as
talk.
Usual. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I had multiple people mention to me, like, oh, I was in that talk, where they would talk, like it would come up in the discussion track, which we should talk about too. Where people would be like, oh, hey, maybe you should try the breathing exercise. Did you see Beth Long, or that talk about, people often don't know the speaker, but they're like, that talk about calming down. A weird note about that one. I didn't take tons of notes when I sat in Beth's talk. I was mostly there for support. As much as I used her breathing exercises when I was stressed out about my talk, for me, doing SRE and incident command, I have never felt the need for that. I get more calm during those incidents. Like I've certainly had a few moments where my heart rate will go up as I'm like, oh, is it A or B? I'm going to go with A, and we're going to convince 7 people and an executive to go with A. But that's like a very fleeting thing. I don't get stressed out by that. I get stressed out by other things.
Have you gotten stressed out if you've had a really bad on-call shift? Like where it's just like constant wake-ups and
No, the stressful thing for me is when I haven't had any reactionary work in a while, and I have to make a plan and execute it on purpose to get ahead of things. That's like being proactive.
You're like such a stereotypical ER doctor, like with ADHD.
So true. Yeah, I watch The Pit, and I'm just like,
that's me.
I could do that job. Like I would just never go home and sit down quietly. But no, that was Beth's talk, though. I could tell was resonating with folks who maybe aren't as backwards as I am.
You're not backwards. You're just different.
Yeah.
What else was good? What else? Vanessa Huerta Granda did a really interesting talk about like thinking about hiring SRE, like the skill set to hire, not SRE incident command. And I thought it was a really wonderful talk. And it was wonderful in this way that is like, yes, this is obvious, but the way she put it together, it's obvious thing that I've thought about because I've had to hire, right? Like, duh. So it's wonderful in that, like, it's probably not obvious to a bunch of people. And also the way she put it together was just very well packaged for people to engage with and think about throughout the talk itself. I just really loved that part. So
yeah, I did not see that one. I totally misread the abstract and thought that was more beginner's guide to being an incident commander. So I'm really glad she's talking about that, though, because it is actually really hard, and we're having trouble with our rotation of incident commander volunteers. Where we're like, we actually probably could hire someone, but what do you put in the job description? Like,
right.
Do you enjoy stress? Like, are you are you a backwards, are you a recovering ER physician? Like, yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to go back and watch the video on that one for sure.
Yeah. What else?
Martin Smith, our old friend Martin Smith, talked about dealing with the hyperscalers, and I did not take detailed notes, but I was actually fully engaged in it and just kept talking to him about things that I heard in his talk throughout the days in the hallway track, because it was so interesting how he's essentially dealing with this like brand new black box that's been created at a hyperscale. Yeah, I mean, it was a fascinating talk, but I don't have like specific takeaways. I just am like, oh, we need to watch this space. Like, I want to talk to Martin in 6 months, see how it's still going.
Yeah, he did a wonderful AMA after it too, and a lot of very interesting questions. And I felt like he was trying hard to stick to what's required of him from a confidentiality standpoint. But had really wonderful, I think, predictions and things that he talked about in that AMA about like what will be true or what will be hard about the future with this. So really insightful stuff there. I think like I came out of that being like, is there a market? I guess I found out that there's a person who did a startup that was basically like, we'll do synthetics of hyperscalers for you so that you can call them out when they are not actually meeting their SLAs because they lie about whether they are or not. And I think that this was a startup and it seems to have folded like a couple years ago, but maybe now's the time. Like maybe it just was
I've
poorly
that,
timed.
Actually.
Yeah. So, which is basically like, you know, we'll help you get SLA credits, and we'll also give you proactive information.
Metrist was the old one.
Yes, Metrist. Yeah. So it was somebody from New Relic, like
guy.
the VP.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was
like
actually
VP at New Relic.
He was a VP at PagerDuty.
Oh, and then he was at New Relic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
we should reach out to see if he wants to talk about it. Actually, like,
about synthetics.
It's a fascinating subject of like, right. Their status page. It's like the real GitHub status page that someone's making, right? Like, like they only tell you what they need to tell you on those things, and in the SLA credit discussion, and like you actually have to measure yourself if you want to know what your vendors
but also,
are doing.
I think there's this other fair thing, which is like they're telling you what they're capable of telling you, and I think like that's like no one internally, and we've seen this as we've talked about SLAs and SLOs internally, right? It's like everybody's got blinders on, and so I think it's always good to think through these things as an external party, both for your own, like how do you know when to do a traffic diversion, like if you are experiencing issues, right? Like all that stuff, like you can't wait for them to put their stuff up on their site. Like, you want to have that.
You need to be knowing
internal knowledge right away, right?
Yeah.
So
and Martin was really talking a lot about how they're doing some of that, right? So in his talk,
super cool.
Yeah. AI agents for incident investigation: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Did you go to that?
That was
one?
right before my talk. Yeah.
It was right before yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you were in there. Yeah. I thought it was interesting.
It was fine. It was fine. I thought there were some interesting points in it. I'm not sure. Yeah. It was fine.
I'm like loading up the abstract again because I think I was more just kind of vibing with all of us around you, and my notes are like confusing to me. But it's the one thing that I took away that I understood that it's like we're still talking about it with the same like linear imagination of how incidents always go down.
Yes,
and I appreciated that. And also I think the speaker even said like it's still just a junior SRE.
Yes.
Yeah, but interesting topic. But I was like, why did I go to that one? Oh yeah, because it was right before your talk. It was right before
me. It was in between Beth and me. So it was like, we're just all kind of in the room.
Yeah, for sure.
What else?
Let's see. Oh, cast.
Case
of the misnamed cities. I enjoyed that. I came in a little late, so I missed the most of the story, but I got a lot of the like, here's how cast goes down, and I added to my Kindle next reading list, Engineering a Safer World. So I'll read about that.
Oh, really? That's exciting.
Yeah, I've never read it.
That's Levison.
Have you read that? I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I have not read it.
And it lays out the case for this.
I've read a bunch of Nancy's papers, but I've never read it here for books. So
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah.
It's coming up next.
Cool. Yeah, did you go to they had a cast workshop, right? But I think it was like 4 hours long.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I wasn't informed enough about it to feel like I could embrace it, but I want to learn more because it sounds like, so I mean the idea is like they were sort of saying like RCA, here's, we all know it's limited. Like, here's a different thing you can do. And since we always talk about in-depth incident analysis, in a learning focus, I figure we'll maybe cast and we can collaborate with them. But I still don't know enough, even from watching the talk. It was very much an intro to cast, and here's why it benefited us, to know if that's true or if I want to engage. So I figured read the book that sort of led to its invention, and then dive in and see. But anytime people give me alternatives to root cause analysis, I'm going to listen.
Yeah. So we're doing a FRAM workshop with RASF next week, which is kind of related, I think, to CAST. So that is like that it's sort of like resilience engineering adjacent. I think some people, let's say Nancy Levison was at the first resilience engineering symposium where it like happened, where folks met and then like never returned. So I think there's like there's a little bit of bifurcation there and a different approach to some of the same maybe philosophical underpinnings. So that should be, we should just come right out and say that. But
building bridges to the Levison camp. But
I feel like it's always good to understand what people are doing, and folks at Google seem to be very into it. So
yeah, Google has, like, as we all know, like if you go to SRECon, Google dominates for obvious reasons. And it still feels like no one could ever possibly do SRE the way Google does.
Yeah.
We're learning, but we can learn a lot from what they've learned in doing that. Like, don't expect to have that level of cultural engagement. Like, it's just not a normal thing. It didn't come after. It came with the whole development of the company. But we can certainly learn, like, some of their practices and some of the values that they hold are absolutely valuable. And so, I'm very interested to hear what's FRAM stand for?
Functional Resonance Analysis Method. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I was. So we have a doctoral candidate, doctor, who's I think part of the FRAM crew. They call themselves Framily. That's like their gathering.
The Framily? Oh,
Framily,
I'm jealous. Yeah, I want to be the Framily.
So he offered to come and teach some folks about it with like a practical, it's a practicum. So it's a 2-hour thing where I think like the first hour will be lecture and the second hour will be like breakouts where people can try it out as a method. So that should be cool.
Nice. And the discussion tracks. Like, so you did a discussion track with John that was so full I couldn't get in the door. I came down late.
I was very surprised it was so full.
Very full, and I heard it went very well. And I heard my name came up.
It did. Well, so, God bless John. He's so, it's sort of like the question for us was, can you design a workshop where people start to understand what we mean by which, holy crap, do you know how hard that is? It's like telling fish, like, this is water. They're like, what?
Yeah. So true.
But it ended up being really cool, and people were very game in a way. I always think when you're getting a bunch of engineers together, I shouldn't feel like this anymore, but because I've been doing this for 15 years, but whenever I get a bunch of engineers in a room, I'm always a little bit like, I've never met people who are more skeptical, rightly so, of anything that's new or different for like their way that they operate or exercise their brains, which is fair, right? But I'm always terrified because I'm like, oh no, we're going to make you do something that like you have never done before, or think about something that you've never thought about
before.
Whole
room of people uncomfortable all at once.
I
misremembered. I was in this
different ways. I think you were in this one.
Yeah, I was. I was thinking about the Uptime Labs workshop.
Oh, the Uptime Labs. I went to that one. That was really cool too.
Yeah,
which wasn't officially an Uptime Labs one.
Right, but it
that was, one. but it was cool though. That was neat because they took Uptime Labs they took like it was a panel discussion about like kind of how important it is. Like, what are the things that are happening in an incident, and how do we, like, what can we notice about them, those things, the sort of troubleshooting. It was a little bit like introducing cognitive systems engineering concepts to the crowd, which I thought was good. But man, so they did it by actually giving people transcripts from an incident that had been run through the Uptime Lab simulator,
right?
And
from Incident Fest
sets, but different sets, so everybody had a different perspective or a different set of people they were analyzing. And your name was on it, so you did come up. It was you. And my group had you and Dylan talking to each other, which is really quite.
That's interesting.
Like, yeah. There's one where you were like, "Dylan, should we call an incident?" And I was like, I've seen Clint type this out before, like in real life. So it was kind of amazing to be like, I know that line. I've heard it directly from his mouth. So people like analyzed what happened, and there were just so many and it was, of course, they start out with being like, please don't come together and talk about someone should have done something. Someone should have done this.
Let's talk about what they did.
Of course, that's what everybody did. But once you could kind of get beyond that, what did you notice that they did do? It was very cool.
Yeah. That was interesting. Yeah, that was like Eric Dobbs, Sarah Butt.
Yes.
And it was essentially like what I read on the sub. I'm like, oh, they're going to do the Void episode again live. And it wasn't that, right? But it was like very much inspired by that, and very cool that they did it.
Yeah.
I did go down just to go see, because it's like, well, all my friends are down there, and there were people out the door. Like, people were really interested in that one. So, but your learning one, I enjoyed very much, and it was, like you said, it was a little abstract at the beginning, trying to get people to think and actually notice, like you say, the water. And I remember, like, at my table, I was there with Steve McGee, and we tried to stay quiet. Like, we both looked at each other and we're like, we're not supposed to drive this, right? We're here to like bat people back into the middle. And so, but it was really fascinating to see people. I think we had what things you do to teach people, I think, or writing. I think you write. No, we weren't writing. I would have loved writing. We were at, I think, explaining. We were explaining.
Yeah.
And it was like just enumerating how much we explain things.
Yes.
And then sharing with the group and realizing just like, oh my God, we explain things all the freaking time. That was really interesting.
My favorite highlight was when people talked about how they're consuming some kind of document later, and how much drawing, like how much consuming a graphic, like some sort of diagram or something like that, helps them understand more than words. And my favorite conversation was about how many people are very reluctant to draw things, because especially with systems that change constantly, right? It's very hard, but how they're now willing to spend more and invest more time. Like, they will rethink their assumption that it's not worth the time, because actually on a cognitive level, from a consumption standpoint, that diagram of anything, or, using a diagram can relay so much information so much more quickly than writing words. That's a cognitive systems engineering concept, by the way. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, and drawing the diagram, helps you learn as well. Yeah, it reminded me, actually, and I put this on my team's backlog. It hasn't quite come up yet. Let's do everybody draw the system exercise.
Yes.
Like, we haven't done it in a while, and it does,
the Dr.
like,
Cook special,
blow people's mind. Yeah, the Dr. Cook special. Just go ahead, like spin the wheel. Okay, it's your turn to draw the system today. Oh, we haven't even talked about the closing keynotes yet. We have to talk about the closing keynotes.
Yes, Lauren.
They were so good. They were both so good.
Yes.
Did you see them both? I walked in middle of the first one, and I was mad that I missed the beginning.
Which one was that?
It was one about using game theory to
Darius,
essentially.
Yes.
Yeah, Darius.
So
it was so good. Like the practical nature of what she was saying, and yet still it was extremely abstract and thoughtful about like giving you a model for like when you're at this part of the journey, you may want to play the game a little differently than when you were at the
Yeah.
beginning of the journey. That was
Yeah.
like, oh, I do that. Like, and I don't never really had a way of thinking about why. Because I'll try to explain to people like, yeah, I know that has worked for you, but it will not work now. And it's because you're playing the prisoner dilemma, and we need to be playing a different game.
Yeah. 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 And this thing about asymmetric information or symmetric information. And I also was thinking a lot about, and even with your talk too, I was thinking so much about the concept of above the line and below the line. This like what we can never really truly understand what's happening, right? And how our approaches to things have to be different when we're dealing with that sort of above the line being our human selves in meat space, and below the line being like, these are binary bits moving in systems, and we don't actually have perfect visibility into what they're doing. So that was like really cool that I felt like that was a through line through both of your talks. And then God bless Lauren for talking about storytelling.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, Lauren.
With a fly stuck. Or not a fly, with the pointer.
With the cursor stuck on it.
It's so funny. I was like, I really need to
tell Lauren to move his cursor.
Yeah, so Lauren, if you're listening, please move your cursor.
Your cursor was showing.
Yes, your cursor was showing.
That's okay.
I thought it was a fly for a second. And then I saw someone say that, and I was like, oh, God. Yeah, now it's all I can see. But it was an amazing talk, and Lauren was telling a nice story there about telling stories, which I enjoyed.
Yeah. It made me, the whole thing, Clint, I just went away so energized about the community, about the resilience engineering community, but also just about the broader SRE community, and like how much there still is to learn all the time. Every time I go, I learn so much, and it made me want to go to SRECon Europe, EMEA.
Same.
And I might submit. So they do have a CFP out right now. I encourage folks to submit. I'll put a link in the show notes. And I really just walked away to being, I'm just continuously impressed at how well Usenix runs conferences.
Like a well-oiled machine, for sure.
Incredible. They do such a good job. And I'm always so happy to be a Usenix member because it supports them in doing really cool work for people. And Laura McGuire, who's also a member of RASF, the Resilience Software Foundation. Dr. Laura McGuire, amazing researcher, amazing resilience engineering person, also just put together the whole thing. Like,
she's kind of our Hermione.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, keep saving us. And knows everything. And
Patrick Cable, who's at DraftKings too, they were the co-chairs.
Yeah.
And they just did wonderful, wonderful work. The whole thing was awesome. I can't wait till next year.
Definitely. And next year I will plan to take days off before the conference.
Yes.
And not do everything in my life all in the 2 weeks leading up to it. Because I'm with you. I had the energy to be there and be present, but I did not come away as energized as you. I came away with a very empty battery, and I stared at the wall for at least 2 days.
Oh no, I also had that, but mostly I just had to take care of my children while we were all on spring break together. So
that's actually the same thing, but luckily my kids are older, so
insanity.
They take care of themselves.
Yeah,
it was a good time, and I wish we had recorded there because that's fun.
Yeah,
but I also am glad we had a couple of weeks to think, and let some of this stuff sink in and recharge batteries, because some things occurred to me, and it's just I think there's a view outside SRE that SREs are these old Unix sysadmins or just these ops people, or like it is such a rich community with a deep understanding of the messy world of computers. And if you're ever curious, if you're not an SRE and they're in your town, or you have an opportunity, you have a curiosity, like definitely worth it watching the the videos, but
the
attending
talks,
the hallway is kind of incredible.
The hallway is really amazing. The kinds of people you meet and what they're working on and what their problems are. It's always so interesting here. All right.
Yep.
Well, thanks everybody. We're signing off. We'll probably bring you a paper next time, maybe. We'll see. All right. See you soon,
Thanks,
Clint. Bye.